dance and the interwebiverse, as I like to call it. That's where I grew up. That's how I met so many people, and that's how I reached out to them, and they reached out to me. It's a tool. It's a means of communication. It's not really a I take that, let me say something. Cut. It's a means of communication. It's a tool, but it will not teach you how to dance. Watching a video clip will not teach you how to dance. It will teach you the technique. We're here to teach the technique behind liquid. What makes liquid liquid? The concepts that you can build on. We're here to give them to you via the means of the internet, because some people don't have hundreds or thousands of dollars to make a trip across the country so they can go learn from someone who's been doing liquid for 15 years. Not everyone has the means, and certainly when I first started, I didn't have the means. I was 16 years old when I first started dancing. I just had my first job. I went to high school, full time, and I had a job and I had a life. And like I said, it was just a hobby for me back then, and it wasn't that serious. I wasn't about to drop $1,000 to go see the LPC at some random club and learn from them. That, and I was really shy. And maybe the people who use the internet as a tool are just shy people, and they're eventually going to have to break out of that shell. But for the time being, I think the internet is a great tool to learn concepts and to network with different people that you will eventually meet up with in real life. The interwebiverse, in a nutshell. I guess the best tip I can give is to not give up. I know it sounds cliche, but don't look at someone, don't dance and then go out and someone's better than you and you say, oh, I might as well give up now. Use that as inspiration. Use that as a goal to get to. That's another tip. Don't be discouraged when you go out. Because like I said, the first few years, although I was trying to get better, looking back on it, I actually looked more retarded than if I hadn't even started to learn anyways. But you have to realize that it takes time. You can't be a good dancer overnight. Even if you're a natural dancer, I guess if such a thing exists, or if such a thing doesn't exist. You still have to learn the technique to make it look good, and you have to learn to dance as well and combine the two concepts. So don't get discouraged, but especially by other people. It's a dance for yourself. I don't view liquid as a performance dance, so at least for me, it was never like, I'm gonna go and impress that girl, and then I'm gonna tap that, yo. It was never like that. It was like, and even for most people that I've talked to, it's always been like, I go in my corner and I do my thing, and I watch myself and I trip myself out. And that's what I do, and that's why I do it. So, do it for yourself, and yeah, that's about it. Mirrors. Lots of mirrors, and a lot of people say mirrors are bad, and I guess they kind of are, but it's just how I learned. I had a set of mirrors that a friend just gave me, like 2 3x6 mirrors, and I was like, cool, I'll take it. I couldn't afford a camcorder at the time, and I got the mirrors for free. So I was like, I'll use it to my advantage. I think mirrors can be advantageous, but at the same time, I did get reliant on them, and it even showed through in my video clips when my head would remain in a constant position because I'd be looking at myself in a mirror. And when you go out and you dance, you're not going to have a mirror, and you just need to really work it into muscle memory. That's what it's about. It's about muscle memory and not visual memory. So mirrors were something that I used to an extent, but I eventually, I guess, screwed up, and I had a really hard time breaking myself away from them. And I guess using a video camera, if you have access to one, is a really good way, a really good technique to, I guess, watch yourself and see where you need to really improve. Another tip, I was on Reflective and I'd submit clips, and you have to really get critiqued by people who know what they're talking about. And it's unfortunate that some random person might come on and just say, you suck. And it's like, you just have to move past that kind of stuff. And another thing is, someone might say, you know, the rail at 422 looked like it could use cleaning up. Like, that person might not know what the heck they're talking about. And you really have to know who knows what. So don't just go on the forum and post a video clip as your first post ever and be like, okay, time to critique, and then just take everything that everyone says as the truth. Lurk, you know, and post and network and find out who really knows what they're talking about. And then meet them in real life if you can. I didn't really have any, like, you know, number my fingers, write stuff down. It's just all about practice, especially mental practice. You know, you're sitting at work for 8 hours a day. It's not like you can, in most instances, get up and dance and just practice stuff. So what I found is that mentally thinking about yourself dancing, like just from a third person perspective, watching yourself dance in your head, helps me so much. If I just think about that for like an hour or so every day, even like intermittently, I'll go back home and I'll dance, and it'll look so much better than the day before. And then also, another technique, not really a technique, but I guess to go along with not being discouraged, is everyone hits plateaus. Your progress in dance will never be linear. It'll never be like a graph that does this. It'll always be either in like a sine wave almost that gets slowly bigger, I guess, or what usually happens is you'll have this peak and then you'll go flat, and then you'll have a peak and then you go flat, or maybe linear and then you go flat, linear. There's always flat periods in your dance where you get caught up. You get caught up in specific sets of moves that you're comfortable with and you think look good. So you don't want to branch out from that, because then it might not look good and, well, boo-hoo. So, just all I really have to say to that is something that helps me get past plateaus is something that Yejun told me a few years ago, was that you get stuck in these patterns. Like the frequency box rail was something that a lot of people get stuck into. So they'll do the box rail, and then they'll go down and they'll maybe like pull it to the side. You know, they'll do something that Little Phil is known for doing because they see it and they think it's great. So they imitate it, and that's, you know, that's fine to an extent. But eventually, you can't just keep doing that. You have to move somewhere else. But sometimes, like I was talking with muscle memory, it gets to the point where it's just what you naturally do. So Yejun told me you have to catch yourself. You have to do this, and then you pull it around, and you're like, wait a minute, I know where this is going. I have to cut this out. So you do this maybe, and then you stop here. You say, where can I go with this? So maybe you go back up with it, and then you come down with it, or something like that. Something that's different that you can pound into muscle memory again, and then over time it just keeps on getting broader and broader and broader.